This is BBC News. I'm Laquesta Burak. The headlines at 4. New laws are being threatened by the Health Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, in an attempt to persuade social media companies to do more to protect children online. Police in MI5 could get extra powers to intervene earlier to stop terror attacks. That's according to a leaked government document. In the hottest London Marathon on record, so Mo Farah finishes third.
Mo Farah will also collect a British record as he crosses the line.
His time of 2 hours, 6 minutes and 21 seconds is a new British record. This year's race was started by the Queen. 41,000 runners are thought to have taken part in the 26-mile race.
I'm not sure they can catch him, and Weir will win once again in London.
And David Weir won the men's elite wheelchair race for the 8th time. Also, Vern Troyer, who's best known for playing Mini-Me in the Austin Powers films, has died at the age of 49. And what happens when you lose your hair early? That's in Newsbeat documentaries in half an hour right here on BBC News. A very good afternoon and welcome to BBC News. The Health Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, is threatening social media companies with new legislation unless they voluntarily come forward with safeguards to protect children's mental health. He's written to platforms such as Facebook and Google, accusing them of turning a blind eye to the problems arising from social media use. Our business correspondent, Joe Lynham, has the report.
It's the new worry of the digital age. How can parents better control what their kids are viewing online? Studies for Childwise found that children between 5 and 16 were spending 6 hours a day in front of screens, more than twice the time spent 20 years ago. Now the Health Secretary wants the social media giants to do a lot more or face sanctions. Writing to Facebook, Google and Twitter, Jeremy Hunt said that they were collectively turning a blind eye to a whole generation of children being exposed to harmful material. He said it was unfair to parents and morally wrong.
Yes, the government are appearing to do something, but they're not actually doing anything. This is about bullying, cyberbullying. We have no control over anything. And to say to Google and Facebook, it's your responsibility, it isn't. It's our responsibility. It's our government. If we're going to do something about it, then we've got to do something about it.
Okay, this is how this app works.
Google, which owns YouTube, said it understood the concerns of parents and had introduced a family link to set the ground rules for children, including screen time limits.
And when you see this, it's time to go out and play.
We allowed them to have like 30 minutes in the evening, like a 6 after dinner.
Probably everyone, to be honest, is using the internet too much. That includes parents.
It's not so much pressure, but I think we don't have outlets anymore. We kind of rely too much on the internet, and it's having a lot of an effect on our communication skills.
Every generation of parents has faced its own challenges, be that alcohol, drugs or video games. But never before have so few companies, Facebook and Google for example, had so much of an influence on what our children watch or consume. So the challenge for government is to curb excess, reassure parents, but not stifle technological change. Joe Lynham, BBC News.
The Foreign Office has confirmed that it's aware that British nationals have been killed in a road accident in Saudi Arabia. It's been reported that up to 4 people may have died and a number of others injured. It's understood they were travelling by coach to Mecca. The government is to increase the powers available to police and the security services to try and stop terror attacks at an early stage of planning. A document leaked to the Sunday Times suggests counter-terrorism officers will target up to 20,000 lower priority suspects. Our Home Affairs correspondent Tom Simons reports.
The murderers behind last year's atrocities in Britain, men who planned to kill innocent people. Yet only 3 were on MI5's radar in any way before striking, and only one of those was being actively investigated. Better intelligence at an earlier stage might have stopped some of this happening. Today's leaked report suggests counter-terrorism investigators could more widely share information on up to 20,000 lower priority suspects with various authorities in the hope of receiving earlier intelligence of risky behaviour, such as planning an attack. The government's already promised more staff for security agencies like MI5, crucial if they are to target a greater number of suspects. And new powers have been promised. Again, these are expected to focus on allowing police to move in at an earlier stage when attack planning is less well advanced. Already announced are higher sentences for viewing terrorism content online or publishing information about the police or the military for use in targeting attacks. The Home Office wouldn't comment on these leaked reports, but said the coming strategy would be a comprehensive response to the evolving threat from domestic and international terrorism. Tom Simons, BBC News.
Labour has condemned the government's handling of the Windrush scandal, where some people who came to the UK from the Commonwealth decades ago have been threatened with deportation or refused jobs or healthcare. The party's leader, Jeremy Corbyn, who's been speaking at the Welsh Labour conference, said that lives had been ripped apart because of the personal decisions and actions of Theresa May and her government.
These are people that came mainly from the Caribbean all those years ago to work in our health service, transport, schools and do a great job and be part of our community. And then to reach 60s, 70s, even 80s, being told you've got to go, you've got to be deported because you no longer belong here. They've lived here, they've worked here, they've got families here, they've voted here. It's just inhuman the way they've been treated. The origins of it are is the 2014 Immigration Act, which removed the simpler system that was there in the past, whereas if somebody's papers had not been weren't available, then you could check back and use the landing cards as a means of proving they arrived Southampton, Cardiff or wherever they arrived. And the Borders Agency took a decision they wanted to destroy all the old landing cards in 2009, and that was done under Theresa May when she was Home Secretary in 2010. And I think she not only needs to apologise for this, but also to take the necessary measures, legislative if necessary, to just guarantee rights of permanent residence to the entire Windrush generation.
Should there be resignations within the government ranks?
Well, if Theresa May cannot make sure that Amber Rudd carries out this decision, then I do think that she should move on and let somebody else do it.
That's Jeremy Corbyn there. In Afghanistan, at least 57 people have been killed and more than 100 injured in a suicide bomb attack in Kabul. The Islamic State group says it was behind the blast, which targeted a crowd waiting outside a voter registration centre. Zia Shariar sent this report from Kabul.
The people who were killed and injured here had been waiting in line at this voter registration centre for identity cards that would have allowed them to vote in elections due to take place in October. The suicide bomber walked up to the building's entrance and detonated his bomb.
This kid was innocent. What was she guilty of? She was killed today in this attack. These people call themselves Muslims. Curse on such Muslims.
Look at this. This is a voting card which is drowned in blood. Who will come to vote when the government asks us to?
The government hopes to register up to 14 million people in the coming months at thousands of centres across the country. But Afghanistan's Independent Election Commission is concerned about security. Zia Shahriar, BBC, Kabul.
2 weeks after the suspected chemical attack in Syria, international experts have finally carried out an inspection in the former rebel-held town of Douma. The Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons said its inspectors had gathered samples which would be examined in specially designated laboratories. Andrew Plant reports.
It's now 2 weeks since these scenes played out on screens around the world. Released by the Syrian opposition, a video appearing
to have any evidence at this point in time. 2 weeks afterwards, chlorine evaporates very quickly. It does not remain in the bodies. It does not remain in the soil. So it'll be very difficult to find conclusive proof that it was a chlorine attack.
America's defense secretary has accused the Syrian government of orchestrating the delays while it cleaned up the area. It's now a week since the US, UK and France launched airstrikes in Syria against, they said, chemical weapons depots and production facilities. Syria and its ally Russia has denied that any chemical weapons attack took place. The team of experts will now send their samples for analysis to see what, if anything, can still be detected on the ground. Andrew Plant, BBC News.
Vern Troyer, who's best known for playing Mini-Me in the Austin Powers films, has died at the age of 49. The actor had been ill recently and had a history of problems with depression and alcohol. Simon Clemison reports.
He is exactly like you in every way. Except 1/8 your size.
But that never held back Mini-Me.
I shall call him...
or Vern Troyer.
Mini-Me.
The role of Dr. Evil's smaller clone in the Austin Powers comedies brought him worldwide recognition. But his credits also include Harry Potter and Men in Black.
Hi, I'm Vern Troyer.
More recently, Vern Troyer's been over here, entering the Celebrity Big Brother house in 2009.
I'm going to play the nice guy, but, you know, deep down I'm going to be evil.
Earlier this month, the actor was again admitted to hospital in Los Angeles as he battled with alcohol addiction. Statements on his social media accounts highlight his struggles and also the issue of depression, but it's not clear exactly what's led to his death. Vern Troyer said his part in